Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Thank you for joining me for this video. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Ben Simmons rumors. Apparently it seems like the 76ers, they are open to a trade, and they're having some, conversations with a few teams that seek, the all-star caliber talent, in return. And so obviously Ben Simmons, we all saw in his final playoff stint, he just seemed like he fell apart mentally out there, did not want to take shots and stuff, passed on some open shots. And so obviously that, plus the limitation of his game of not being an outside shooter, struggles at the free throw line, and so all of that. And so that is why the 76ers, they've come to the point now where they're at least open to having those conversations to possibly trade Ben Simmons. But it doesn't seem like they're going to be looking to just give him up for just anybody. It seems like they are trying to drive a pretty tough bargain, which obviously I understand that, you want to make sure you get the most that you can for a player. But certainly the most important part is to make sure that you set up the 76ers and Joel Embiid for success here in the future. And so this article goes on to cover that. Let's see. And so it says that the 76ers, enter the offseason at a crossroad. Do they improve their current roster around MVP finalist Joel Embiid and also Ben Simmons, and hope that the latter can flourish, after working on his shot during the summer? And obviously that's something that he has to do. Like, he cannot step back on that court next year and not work on that shot. That's certainly something they're going to be extreme emphasized regardless of where he's at. That's priority number one for him. Or do they trade, the point guard and bring in a new talent to pair with Joel Embiid? After the 76ers' second-round playoff loss to the Atlanta Hawks, which they were obviously the favorites in that one, so it was extremely disappointing for them to lose to the Hawks. Reports surfaced that the Philadelphia 76ers, who obviously is committed to making Embiid Simmons duo work, but at times, as time passed, they've had some time to really think about it. They've free agency on the horizon, the draft is a couple weeks away. If you're going to make the trade, now is the best time to see what's out there that you can possibly get. They have to be thinking about the best way to maximize their team. And if this is the version of Ben Simmons that you're getting moving forward, then it may make some sense for them to look elsewhere. And obviously for Simmons, maybe a new environment, new opportunity. Maybe they can reinstall his confidence in himself and then work on his game, and we'll see hopefully an improved version of Simmons. Although he's, had a good career so far, but in terms of his expectations for himself, I'm sure he understands that, he's much better than what we last saw out there on the court. So it seems that the 76ers have made that decision to make that change. Let's see. According to Shams of The Athletic, the 76ers has opened up trade conversations surrounding Simmons and has engaged with teams. Sources told The Athletic. Those sources also say that teams that have engaged with the 76ers about Simmons have been met with a high price threshold for the three-time All-Star. And so the 76ers are currently looking to net, All-Star caliber player in return, which obviously that makes sense. If you're going to give up Simmons, you certainly have to make sure you have someone that can come in and be considered an upgrade at least, or at least, the same thing, maybe a different skill set that might complement more so what Joel Embiid and the 76ers currently have. But given his, disappointing performance in the postseason, the return may not be as high as the 76ers could have gotten a year ago. However, the interest in Simmons still remains high, their reports, and that makes sense, given his resume. Like I mentioned, that he's an All-NBA player, in 2020, a two-time All-Defensive, All-Team Player and Rookie of the Year winner. So certainly, he's only 24 years old. So when you add those accomplishments, the fact he's 24, that's what they're looking to sell. They're like, disregard what happened towards the end. I mean, there's reports that maybe he's dealing with some personal off the court issues as well. So maybe that potentially played a factor, But another thing to consider is that, he's got 4 years remaining on his contract. So any team that makes that trade for him, they're going to have to they at least know he's going to be under contract for a while. Now, whether they'll be happy about paying him that current price, that remains to be seen based upon his production down the road. But he won't be a free agent at least until 2025, when he's set to become an unrestricted free agent. And so this goes on to say that while Simmons being on the trading block is head-turning news, it's not the first time he's been in this position with the 76ers. When the Rockets were looking to trade James Harden earlier in the season, the 76ers were reportedly in the running to nab, the former league MVP, but Simmons was the centerpiece of that deal. But 76ers were unwilling to include rookie Tyrese Maxey in terms of, part of that deal. So the deal fell apart. So just imagine what could have been. You could have been looking at possibly James Harden and Joel Embiid. That would have been one heck of a thing. I mean, especially considering now what we saw in the playoffs from Ben Simmons, yeah, that probably would have been a much better look right there for them. But since that time, the 76ers appear to be figuring things out with the Simmons-Embiid duo. The 76ers finished the regular season with the best record in the East and the #1 seed heading into the postseason ever. Those doubts of Simmons, being unable to coexist with Embiid reared its, head again. They go on to state in the second round of the playoffs against the Atlanta Hawks, where Simmons, flaws were magnified with each, missed free throw attempt. And then just, his inability and obviously I don't blame him for not wanting to shoot outside, but I mean, you at least got to make the team at least consider that you might think about taking that shot. But it led to a pretty pointed public criticism from Embiid. And when that criticism happened, I said to myself, okay, maybe there is no way that, that they're bringing him back next year. I mean, when you're a best player that you obviously need to keep him happy and stuff, if he's looking like, okay, I don't know if I can work with this guy, then yeah, that's something that you always need to look at. And then, head coach Doc Rivers, the 76ers, when they was bounced from the postseason as well, you remember those remarks about Doc Rivers saying he doesn't know if he can win with, Ben Simmons. Now, obviously, as your coach, you would like for your coach to have that faith in your star player, but I mean, he was just being real at that moment. So that tells a lot about where a lot of those guys sit with Ben Simmons. So therefore, I would not be surprised if a trade does go through. And, we'll see in terms of a timetable what that looks like. But obviously the 76ers may have to lower their asking price because I doubt anybody's going to just be like, okay, we have to have them. Let's go ahead and make this happen. I don't think that happens unless something drastically changes. But that being said, though, certainly hoping that Ben Simmons is able to regain his confidence and go out there and be better than ever and really make those improvements that it's going to take for him to be able to take that leap into the next level. He's had a pretty good career so far. Obviously, it wasn't the finish that he wanted to this past season, but he's got to be mentally tough and put it past him and be able to get back out there and just keep grinding. And so, but with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is going to be an exciting NBA offseason. I'm looking forward to it for sure. All the news, I'm definitely going to be looking to cover that, as well as, the NFL season on the horizon, college football, and then when college hoops come back, you can find that all here. So make sure, if you haven't already, that you do consider subscribing. It's the best way to be notified whenever I drop content and keep you guys up to date. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me, and see you guys next time.